Welcome to Mastermind with me, John Humphrys. In the spotlight tonight are Laura Binney, a geoscience technologist whose specialist subject is the life and works of Richard Wagner. Dom Hewitt, a library assistant. He's answering questions on Flight of the Conchords. Vic Bansal, an investment manager whose subject is Caravaggio. And Julie Bungay, a history teacher who's answering questions on Queens Consort of England from 9:39 to 11:54. And all of our contenders tonight are one small step from the grand final. Actually, not so small, because they each have the same ambition and they each prove that they can win. The challenge is familiar to them. 2 minutes in the black chair for their specialist subject and then 2.5 minutes for general knowledge. Let's see who will survive tonight. And ask our first contender to join us, please. And your name is?
Laura Binney.
Your occupation?
Geoscience technologist.
And your chosen subject?
The life and works of Richard Wagner.
In 2 minutes, starting now. While he was travelling in 1835, the young Wagner passed through a small city in Bavaria where he'd later establish a major music festival devoted to his own works. Which city?
Bayreuth.
Yes. A renowned philosopher who'd initially been a close friend and admirer of Wagner later became disillusioned with his political and philosophical views and criticised him in works such as The Case of Wagner. Which philosopher?
Nietzsche.
Yep. Both the opening scene and the end of the opera Lohengrin are set on the banks of which European river?
Schelme.
The Scheldt. During his participation in the 1849 Dresden Uprising, Wagner contributed articles to a radical newspaper and was briefly its editor. Which paper?
Volksblätter.
Yes. Wagner's first child, born of an affair with his future wife, Cosima, shared her first name with the heroine of one of Wagner's operas. What name?
Isolde.
Yeah. Wagner's opera, Die Meistersinger von Nuremberg, which typically lasts 4.5 hours, was originally conceived as a light-hearted appendix to another of his operas. Which one?
Lohengrin.
Tannhäuser. The London Philharmonic Society, who invited Wagner to conduct a series of concerts in 1855, had previously rejected a concert overture which he sent to them in 1837. What was the overture's title?
Rienzi.
Rule Britannia. Wagner originally intended one of his operas to be set in Scotland, though the setting was changed to Norway only a few weeks before its premiere in 1843. Which opera?
Flying Dutchman.
Yes. What German name did Wagner give to his purpose-built villa in Bayreuth, where he took up residence with his family in 1874 and spent much of his later life?
Wahnfried.
Yes. Shortly after the famous Ride of the Valkyries in Act 3 of Die Walküre, Brünnhilde arrives on the scene with another character whom she begs her fellow Valkyries to protect from the wrath of Wotan. Which character?
Sieglinde.
Yes. Wagner's long-lasting financial difficulties were relieved upon the accession of a new king of Bavaria in 1864, who became deeply attached to him and funded his activities generously. Which king?
Ludwig II.
Correct. The three-note phrase which opens the prelude to Tristan und Isolde, immediately preceding the first appearance of the famous Tristan chord, is played by which instruments?
The oboe.
The cellos. No passes, Laura. You have scored 8 points.
Thank you very much.
And our next contender, please. And your name is?
Dom Hewitt.
Your occupation?
Library assistant.
And your chosen subject?
Flight of the Conchords.
Comedy duo formed by the musicians Brett Mackenzie and Jermaine Clement. Here we go, 2 minutes in their radio and television series, both entitled Flight of the Conchords. Clement and Mackenzie play fictionalized versions of themselves. Which actor plays their devoted but incompetent manager?
Rhys Darby.
Yep. Which Welsh comedian narrates the Flight of the Conchords radio series?
Rob Brydon.
Yep. In the radio series, the duo wrote a song entitled Nearly a Woman for a Canadian teen pop sensation, and the single reaches number 37 in the chart. What's the name of this fictional pop star?
Wambi.
Yep. In the television series, Mel, the band's obsessive and possibly only fan, played by Kristen Schaal, wins a competition to cook dinner for the duo. What favourite dish of Brett's does she cook for him?
Oh, spaghetti bolognese.
Scrambled eggs. Which song by the band includes the lyrics, "No one cares, no one sympathises, you just stay home and play synthesizers"?
Inner City Pressure.
Yep. The cover art of the duo's 2009 studio album, I Told You I Was Freaky, was created by which illustrator and musician?
Pass.
In one of the television episodes, Brian, the New Zealand Prime Minister, tells Brett and Jermaine that the country's most famous sheep is to be sent to New York as part of a scheme to promote New Zealand. What's the name of the sheep?
Gary.
Yes. One song by the duo consists mainly of a random selection of French terms and names such as Camembert, Bibliothèque and Gérard Depardieu. What's the title of the song?
Feu de Fafa.
Yep. In season 2 of the television series, Brett falls for a woman who works in a pet shop where he panic buys goldfish each time he goes to see her there. What's the name of the shop?
Petland.
Yeah, in the television episode entitled Unnatural Love, which accent is described by Jermaine as kind of like an evil version of our accent?
Australian.
Yep. During the Live in London television special, Clement and Mackenzie have a conversation about the names of their bands before they got together to form their supergroup. What was the name of Clement's former band?
Jermaine.
And I'll give it to you, Jermaine and the no one else. In the television episode Wingmen, the pair are told by a friend Dave that women like 3 things. These are Men in Kilts, the song Wicked Game by Chris Isaak, and what else?
Southern Comfort.
Southern Comfort is correct. You had 1 pass, Dom. The cover art of that 2009 album was created by John Baisley. You have scored, however, 10 points. And our next contender, please. And your name is?
Vic Bansal,
Your occupation?
investment manager.
And your specialist subject?
Caravaggio.
Caravaggio, the great artist. Here we go, 2 minutes. In 1576, the Medici family fled Milan to the town of Caravaggio to escape an outbreak of disease, but Caravaggio's father, grandfather and grandmother all still died of it the following year. What was the disease?
The plague.
Yeah. Caravaggio pioneered a form of the chiaroscuro style in which highly illuminated foreground figures are painted against a background of intense darkness. This artistic style is known by what name derived from the Latin for darkness?
Tenebrism.
Yes, one of the oldest surviving paintings that's indisputably by Caravaggio is a self-portrait in which he's dressed as a Greco-Roman deity. Which one?
Bacchus.
Yes. In 1593, Caravaggio was employed to paint flowers and fruit in the Rome studio of an artist sometimes known by the title Cavaliere d'Arpino. Which artist?
Cesare.
Yes, Giuseppe Cesari. The collection of the National Gallery in London includes a painting by Caravaggio from around 1595 in which a young boy reaches his hand into a bowl of fruit and is bitten on the finger by a creature which features in the work's title. What creature?
A lizard.
Yeah. The head of Medusa, painted on linen stretched over a wooden shield and now in the Uffizi Gallery in Florence, was given by Caravaggio's patron, Cardinal del Monte, to a member of the Medici family. Which one?
Ferdinando.
Yes, which courtesan posed as a model for Caravaggio on a number of occasions in the late 1590s in paintings such as St. Catherine of Alexandria and Judith and Holofernes.
Fili de Melandroni.
Yes, Caravaggio's only mural was a ceiling painted in oils in the Villa Ludovisi. What was its title?
Jupiter, Neptune and Pluto.
Yes, the 1606 Madonna of the Palafreniere, also known as the Madonna with the Serpent, was painted for an altar in St. Peter's Basilica dedicated to a particular saint. Which one?
Francis.
St. Anne. The musicians painted for Cardinal del Monte around the end of 1595 depicts 4 young men at a rehearsal. The central figure is tuning what stringed instrument?
A lute.
Yeah. On May 28, 1606, Caravaggio killed Ranuccio Tomassoni in a duel on a tennis court. Which of Caravaggio's friends was badly injured by Tomassoni's supporters and subsequently arrested?
Gentileschi.
Petronio Toppa. You had no passes, Vic. You've scored 9 points. And our final contender, please. And your name is?
Julie Bungay,
Your occupation?
history teacher.
And your chosen subject?
England's Queens Consort, 939 to 1154.
Now, women married to the Anglo-Saxon, Danish and Norman kings of England. Here we go. The woman who married both Ethelred the Unready and Canute is the only queen to have been consort to 2 kings of England. Who was she?
Emma of Normandy.
Yes, Edith married Edward the Confessor in 1045, 3 years into his reign. She was the daughter of which of his earls?
Godwin.
Yep. Matilda of Flanders married William the Conqueror in spite of a ban put on the marriage by the Pope. Which Pope?
Leo the Ninth.
Yes, around 1137, areas of land at Cressing in Essex, owned by Matilda of Boulogne, the consort of King Stephen, were among the earliest recorded in England to be granted to which military order?
The Templars.
Yes, the Knights Templar. Adeliza of Louvain was the second wife of Henry I. After his death in 1135, she married his butler. Who was he?
William D'Albany.
Yep. Edith Godwin commissioned the rebuilding in stone of the abbey in which she'd been brought up. She intended the building to complement her husband, Edward the Confessor's Westminster Abbey. What was the name of Edith's abbey?
Wilton.
Yes. As a gift to her husband, William the Conqueror, Matilda of Flanders secretly fitted out a vessel to be his flagship for the invasion of England in 1066. What was the name of the ship?
Mora.
Yep. In 1138, Matilda of Boulogne oversaw the successful siege and capture of a port town and castle and installed her kinsman, Faramus, as the castle's governor. Which town?
Dover.
Yep. King Edgar courted a nobleman's daughter named Wulfhilda, but she fled through the sewers of Werwell Abbey to avoid marrying him. Instead, he married her cousin, who was a nun. What was her name?
Winifred.
Wulfrida. In 1029, Canute sent his wife Elgiva of Northampton to act as a regent for their son Sweyn in one of the countries under his rule. Which country?
Norway.
Yep. After the death of Harold II at the Battle of Hastings, his widow, Edith of Mercia, was taken to safety by her brothers, Edwin and Morcar. To which city did they take her?
Chester.
Yes. When Elfrida was crowned alongside her husband Edgar on May the 11th, 973, she became the first woman known to have been crowned Queen of England. In which abbey did the coronation take place?
Bath.
Bath Abbey is correct. No passes. Julie, you have scored 11 points. Wow, what a very close round. Let's have a look at all of those scores. In fourth place with 8 points, Laura. Third place, 9 points, Vic. Second place, 10 points, Dom. First place, 11 points, Julie. So it's the general knowledge round now, and if there's a tie at the end of it, then the number of passes is taken into account and the person with the fewer passes is the winner. And if they're tied on passes as well, then there has to be a tie break. So let us ask Laura to join us again, please. And Laura, you start out with 8 points, but this is a very close game, so everything to play for. Here we go. The glass entrance to the Louvre Gallery in Paris is what three-dimensional shape?
A pyramid.
Yeah. What name is used in finance for the interest on a loan or investment whose calculation takes into account the interest already accumulated and thus grows exponentially over time?
Compound.
Yes. What BBC comedy series is about amateur enthusiasts searching for treasure in the fictional rural town of Danebury? It was written by and stars Mackenzie Crook.
Metal detectors.
Detectorists. Which European country comprises more than 400 islands as well as most of the Jutland Peninsula?
Denmark.
Yep. In which English city in the West Midlands is the Cathedral Church of St. Michael? It contains artworks by Jacob Epstein, John Piper, Graham Sutherland, Elizabeth Frink, among others.
Norwich.
Coventry. Which series of small, low-cost computers developed by a charity based in Cambridge and launched in 2012 is used to teach programming skills? It's named after a soft fruit and a Greek letter.
Raspberry Pi.
Yes. The scale used to measure the relative pungency of chili peppers is named after the American pharmacologist who devised it. What was his name?
Scoville.
Yep. What alternative common name is given to the northern lapwing or green plover because of its call?
Curlew.
Peewit. A Scottish musician who was a member of both the Humble Bums and Steelers Wheel went on to have international solo success with his song Baker Street in 1978. What's his name?
Jerry Rafferty.
Yes. The States of Deliberation is the legislative assembly of which of the Channel Islands?
Jersey.
Guernsey. Which British author won the 2006 Orange Prize for Fiction for her book On Beauty? She'd previously been nominated for the award twice for The Autograph Man and White Teeth.
Zadie Smith.
Yes. What narrow string of tissue that contains 2 arteries and a vein is connected to a fetus in the womb? Its primary function is to carry nutrients and oxygen to the fetus.
Placenta.
The umbilical cord. The 1494 Treaty of Tordesillas split the New World between Spain and another European country. Which one?
Portugal.
Yes, the Santa Maria Rotonda, a mainly circular temple in Rome that's dedicated to all the gods, was completely rebuilt during the reign of Hadrian. What's the common name of this temple?
Pantheon.
Yes. Who plays Professor Peter Boyd in the 1951 film Bedtime for Bonzo? The character brings up a chimpanzee as though it were a human child to prove that environment rather than heredity determines a person's character.
Cary Grant.
Ronald Reagan. Which comedian had his painting Queen Says Hi in the Royal Academy's 2018 summer exhibition? He's known for hosting television shows such as TV Burp and Alien Fun Capsule.
Harry Hill.
Harry Hill is correct. No passes, Laura. Your score has now gone up to 18 points.
Thank you.
And now Vic again, please. And you start out with 9 points, Vic. The score to beat, as you've just heard, is 18. Here we go. Abyssinian and Russian blue are breeds of which domesticated animal?
Cat.
Yep. What French phrase translates as head-to-head and is used in English to refer to an intimate conversation between two people?
Tête-à-tête.
Correct. The Greek composer who wrote the music of the films Blade Runner and Chariots of Fire is known professionally by a single-word name. What name?
Vangelis.
Yes. The secret police agency of East Germany during the Cold War was called the Ministry for State Security. It's better known by what shortened name?
Stasi.
Yes. Which American poet recited his work, The Gift, outright at the inauguration of President Kennedy in 1961?
Walt Whitman.
Robert Frost. On British roads, which type of crossing allows riders on horseback, as well as pedestrians, to cross a road? It's named after a mythical winged horse.
Pegasus.
Yes. Which filmmaker and pioneer of stop-motion animation created visual effects for fantasy films such as Clash of the Titans and Jason and the Argonauts?
Walt Disney.
Ray Harryhausen. What Latin word is used to refer to a medicine that has no pharmacological effect but may help relieve symptoms simply because a patient believes that it will?
Placebo.
Yeah. What term, originally coined by the computer programmer Gary Stock and popularized by the comedian Dave Gorman, refers to a pair of words that return only a single result when they're searched for together online?
Unitary.
Google whack. Which Italian writer, the winner of the 1934 Nobel Prize in Literature, used the idea of the theatre within the theatre in his 1921 play, Six Characters in Search of an Author?
Cagliari.
Pirandello. What tree is depicted on the national flag of Lebanon? In earlier times, such trees were common throughout the country.
Cedar.
Yep. Bing Crosby's recording of a festive song by Irving Berlin, featured in the 1942 film Holiday Inn, is said to be the best-selling single of all time. Which song?
White Christmas.
Yep. Which American author wrote the award-winning 1973 novel Gravity's Rainbow, partly set in post-war Germany?
Thomas Pynchon.
Yes. A musical work by Prokofiev entitled Dance of the Nights is played over the opening sequence of a BBC reality show that began in 2005. Which show?
The Apprentice.
Yes. Mount Kosciuszko is the highest mountain in which southern hemisphere country?
Australia.
Yes. What is the surname of Jacques, the Canadian motor racing driver who won the 1997 Formula One World Drivers' Championship? His father, Gilles, was also a noted Formula One driver.
Villeneuve.
Yes. Which building in Dublin, designed in 1745 for the Earl of Kildare, is the seat of the Irish Parliament?
Queen's House.
No, Leinster House. However, Vic, you have scored now a total of 21 points. And now Dom again, please. And you start out with 10 points, Dom. 21 is the score to beat. Here we go. Which vowel is the most commonly used letter in the written English?
E.
Yep. The medical condition tinnitus affects which of the 5 main senses?
Sound. Hearing.
Yes. Which British model-turned-designer launched her namesake clothing range in 2017? She was once a part of Channel 4's T4 presenting team.
Alexa Chung.
Yes, in English, what name is applied both to a resident of a particular Italian city and to a block of ice cream made in wide stripes of different colours and flavours?
Neapolitan.
Yes. What's the name of the indoor roller coaster in Tomorrowland at Walt Disney World in Florida? The ride has an astronomy theme and was opened in 1975.
Mickey Mouse Land.
Space Mountain. Which Welsh golfer won his only major, the US Masters, in 1991? He went on to be Europe's Ryder Cup captain in 2006.
Ian Woosnam.
Yes. Which unit of angular measurement, used in many areas of maths and science, is approximately equal to 57.3 degrees?
Pi.
Radian. Homer's Odyssey tells the story of the eponymous hero's return from the Trojan War. Which work, also attributed to Homer, tells the story of Achilles and the siege of Troy?
Iliad.
Yep. What term was coined in the 18th century to refer to the common people of Paris who were a driving force of change during the French Revolution? It roughly translates as without knee breeches.
Sans-culotte.
Yes. Poets' Corner is in the south transept of which London church?
Westminster Abbey.
Yes, in 1873, the American city that would later become the state capital of North Dakota was named after the German chancellor in the hope of attracting investment in the Northern Pacific Railroad. Who was the chancellor?
Bismarck.
Yes. What name from the Greek for tongue is given to a dictionary of technical terms sometimes printed at the end of a specialized text?
Oh. Lexicography.
Glossary. A suspension bridge over the River Avon, originally designed by Isambard Kingdom Brunel, is named after the suburb of Bristol, which it connects to the village of Lee Wood. What suburb?
Clifton.
Yes. Eagle, Piggle, Upsy Daisy and Macca Pacca are characters in a television series for young children that explores an imaginary world between being awake and asleep. Which series?
Dora the Explorer.
In the Night Garden. What keyboard instrument is an early type of sampler that reproduces the sounds of other instruments by using pre-recorded magnetic tapes? It was memorably used on Strawberry Fields Forever by the Beatles.
Oh, vibraphone.
Mellotron. Which English dukedom has been held by members of the Russell family since 1694?
Norwich.
Bedford. At the 2019 Oscars ceremony, the animated feature film category was won by a film in the Spider-Man franchise. What's its subtitle?
Welcome to the Spider-Verse.
Not quite, I'm afraid. Very, very close into the Spider-Verse.
Yeah.
And you now have a total, Dom, of 20 points. And finally, Julie, please. And, Julie, you start out with 11 points. A very tightly fought contest. This 21 is still the score to beat. Here we go. What term is used to describe a species that has no living members and a volcano that hasn't erupted in recent history?
Extinct.
Yes. What was the basic unit of currency of Belgium immediately before the introduction of the euro?
Belgian franc.
Yep. Kali is a goddess of death in which major religion?
Hinduism.
Yes. In 1959, a British ballerina was arrested in Panama City over her alleged role in an attempt to overthrow the government of Panama with her husband. What was her name?
Maurice Shearer.
Margot Fontaine. Plumbism is a term for the poisoning of the body with which metallic element?
Lead.
Yep. Waldorf schools are based on the philosophy of an Austrian educationalist. What was his name?
Steiner.
Yes. Which British artist was born in 1887 and had the first name as Lawrence Stephen? He's noted for his paintings of the industrial northwest of England, commonly known by just his initials and surname.
Lowry.
Yes. What was the title of the song by the British group Thunderclap Newman, which was at #1 in the UK singles chart on the day of the moon landing in July '69? It was their only UK top 40 single, but it prevented Elvis Presley's In the Ghetto from topping the chart.
Something in the air.
Yes. What's the usual term for the period spent by certain animals in a dormant state when the temperature drops? It comes from a Latin word for wintry.
Hibernation.
Yes. What word from the Greek for tree refers to the branch of botany that deals with the study of trees and shrubs?
Arboreal.
Dendrology. Which American writer once referred to Andy Warhol as a genius with the IQ of a moron? His works include the novel Myra Breckinridge and the screenplay for the film Suddenly Last Summer.
Walsh.
Gore Vidal. An anemometer is an instrument used in meteorology to measure the speed of what?
Wind.
Yes. Which internal organ of the human body is once said to vent in a phrase that means to express feelings of anger? It was once thought to be the seat of ill temper.
Lungs.
Spleen. In July 2019, the author of the How to Train Your Dragon series of books was appointed as the new children's laureate. What's her name?
Anna Freud.
No, Cressida Cowell. Which English footballer won the Golden Boot at the 2018 World Cup after he finished as the tournament's top scorer with 6 goals?
Harry Kane.
Yes. Which major seaport in the far southeast of Russia has a name that's often translated as ruler of the East?
Sebastopol.
Vladivostok. What's the common term for the parasitic invertebrate, also known as a cestode? It can live in the human intestine and grow to a length of 50 feet.
Tapeworm.
Yes, the eastern species of a small venomous burrowing snake, native to the Americas, has distinctive rings of red, black and yellow along the length of its body. What snake?
Anaconda.
Coral snake. What French term that means deceives the eye is applied to paintings designed to fool the observer into believing that they're looking at a 3-dimensional object?
Trompe oil.
Is correct. No passes, Julie. You have 23 points. Well, what a contest. Let's have a look at all of those scores. In fourth place with 18 points, Laura. Third place with 20 points, Dom. Second place with 21 points, Vic. In first place with 23 points, Julie. Which means, of course, that Julie goes through to the grand final. Congratulations to her. And if you would like to be a contender in the next series, do go to our website, bbc.co.uk/mastermind, and you can follow us at Mastermind Quiz. And do join us again next time for more Masterminds. And thanks for watching. Goodbye.
I think the children I teach are just going to be so excited just to see Miss on the telly and, you know, Miss on the spot, Miss getting it wrong. And I think that's so important that children see that we don't always get it right all the time.
What was her name?
Moira Shearer.
Margot Fontaine.
For the semi-finals, I did a lot of preparation on actual answering questions quickly.
Which major religion?
Hinduism.
Yes, in 1959.
Not just learning the facts, but also being able to recall them quickly.
Which town?
Dover.
Yep.
For the final, I'd like to do the subject, the Wars of the Roses, because I think it's a fascinating time in history where there was civil war, there was political turmoil, nothing like today.